on that. So let's dive in right with whiskey number one, which is called Reds, Greens, and Yellows, which I kind of assumed was a crayon reference, but maybe I'm wrong. Super fresh on the nose, a little bit floral for me. Chris says, could have called number one Skittles Scotch. Harmony and everybody, you guys are muted if you did want to chime in here.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, it's super floral for me in a really nice way, like nice honeysuckle, kind of that hint of lilac that's blowing around the city right now. And like a touch of, there's something like sugar cream, like sugary creamy underneath here as well.
Lilac is a really good call. Do get a little bit of that with that floral note. Touch of grassiness, maybe a little bit of waxiness in there as well.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I get the cut grass notes, but that could also be because our neighbor just cut his front lawn, but I definitely get the cut grass.
Yeah, it's grass clippings.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't even sweep them up.
I get the rose though as well.
Oh, cool.
I'm wondering if the title, Evan, you said Reds, Greens, and Yellows. Chris said Skittles whiskey, so that's a good call.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if it's maybe more to do with some of the references in the tasting notes, like red fruits, green meadows, yellow for flowers. I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't asked HQ what the name was meant to represent. So take it as you will, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. There's a touch of like definitely vanilla from this is ex-bourbon if I remember correctly, first fill. There's a hit of vanilla, but there's also just a bit of barrel smoke in there for me right now as well.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, it's like it's on this earthy side of smoke. It's not very big. And it still has like lots of cereal on it. The more I sit and sniff it, to get past those flower notes.
Yeah, cereal's a good call. Palate wise, it's got a little bit of a ginger hit with the spiciness. Still stays a little bit green on there. Some nice wood and oak spice as well. And like green apple skins right now for me.
Sandalwood's in there too.
Yeah. It's dry. It's drier than I thought it would be on the tongue.
And it's hot for me. I'm going to add water.
It is. Got some heat.
Yeah, 58.6% alcohol on this one. So that is a little hot. I will do water as well the first time through. Should join you, Kelly.
It really brings out that floral note, those roses.
It does. And yeah, and like a dusty dryness to them. It's like you've pressed a rose in the middle or a flower in between pages of a hardcover book.
It's also got some nice citrus in here.
I love that lilac note that you said, Harmony. That's still really predominant, even with a little bit of water.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Not the big lilac bush right next door.
That's right. The neighbor on the other side has a big lilac tree.
Yeah, our neighbors just mowed their lilac bush.
You're gonna close all the windows and doors.
Yeah. It's a good starter. Like
it's kind of got
wood forward.
Like, it's kind of got like a savory, like I don't know what it is, like I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I agree. There's almost a pepperiness to it.
Yeah, maybe it's
like,
pepper.
Yeah, like ground pepper, but even
spice rub of some sort, like a roast rub.
But for me, it's still that grassy, kind of like a grassy meadow. So the savoriness of that meadow, which the grass clippings, some hay, maybe, I don't know, but
that's there. But I also get a powdered sugar.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
With those floral notes, and it's really interesting.
I'm glad you said that, Rob, because I said like sweet sugar cream, and maybe it's like an icing sugar.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
Well, and going back to that pepper note, it almost has a little bit of bell pepper, like you're cutting up bell peppers and you're cutting up the seeds at the same time on the
What
nose.
color?
Yellow.
I'm gonna say yellow. Yep. Thank you, Carmody. We're simpatico right now on our pepper choices.
Red, yellow, or green.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Peppers.
that's
It's
right.
a reference to
Yeah.
peppers.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
But no orange.
Even
Well, I
with
think we've
everything
covered the
going
whole
on.
flavor spectrum other than peat.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really interesting. Yeah.
It is. There's a lot going on here.
There is, and I still feel like it's a little bit hard edged. Like it might even open up a bit more with some time on the glass. So let's put that one aside.
Yeah, and I poured ours about 25 minutes before 7, so they've been in the glass for a while already. So
Right.
Okay, well, let's go on to number 2, which is called Lime and Thyme. THYME for the time there. First fill ex-bourbon barrels, that's plural, 27th of January, 930 bottles from the Outturn, 55.8% alcohol.
I think I'm
soft
smelling your neighbor's lawn on this one.
Yeah.
Hey, wait.
Are you? Where are you? With the banana chips and the tasting note, that's a good call.
Yeah. This is like you're mowing cotton candy to me too. Like some big cotton candy notes, like it's just being spun right in front of me right now.
My first thought was like the pink and yellow marshmallow peeps.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
So even though any marshmallow candy, even I don't know
Yeah.
what those they're like strawberries, those big fat red
The
ones.
strawberry bonbons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, even a touch of strawberry yogurt in there on the nose.
Cool. Did you say banana bread or banana chips?
It is banana bread on the tasting notes, isn't it?
I don't know. I got it as different banana bread. But
Banana chips. I get a lot of ginger, and that's another hot one.
Oh, yeah.
That has a kick too. Am I just out of practice? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. You're not drinking enough.
I'm trying.
Yeah. There is that I don't know if I'd pick out thyme, but there's a bit of herbaceousness there.
Definitely.
It's definitely some dryness.
Oh, yeah, it's got like a zingy spice that just kind of gets the side of your tongue there. I think ginger's a nice call for that. I still get banana bread on the palate here, and it's kind of like I don't know, like a whole grain bread kind of style that you maybe like brushed it with some like honey and butter, and then toasted it.
Is anybody getting lime or thyme?
I could see lime. The thyme is just making me think though. I'm getting more like basil and even into like a little bit of oregano oil on the palate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the lime may come in time.
I get like some menthol in there too. Some
I
like
just added a few drops of water and it just adds this cloud of polished oak that goes over everything in a really nice manner.
I like the label.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty label.
Kind of Peter Panish, but very lime.
Nielsen say Taco Tuesday wasn't just last night. Margs and cilantro. Cilantro I could see in this too.
Cool.
So definitely a herbaceous seasoning thing going through here.
Yeah, they could have called it strawberry Vietnamese sub.
Oh, it's beautiful with water.
Oh.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
The first two are just lovely with a bit of water. Just opens them right up.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell we're they kind of pair well with the weather where we're just creeping into summertime finally. And some warmer spring days in Calgary here.
That's just got a lovely, with water, it's, maybe I hadn't noticed without, but it's just got a lovely mouthfeel with water. It's just thick and viscous. Viscous, indeed.
Yeah. It's interesting because like, not to hint at the distillery, but there's been distillery bottlings from this SMWS bottlings from this distillery over the last couple of years that were like almost hyper lush stylistically and candied. And the candy notes are still there, but it's really balanced by that herbaceousness in a nice manner. Okay, let's set that one aside and go on to number 3. Number 3 is called Rich's Cake, a Little Sourdough. From initial cask was a ex-bourbon barrel. Final cask was a first fill PX ex Bodega Barrique. 9th of January, is it 9th of January for the last one too? No, 27th of January, sorry. 9th of January for this one, 164 bottles, 48.6% alcohol.
That is an unripe banana.
Yeah, big time. Like you're peeling it, like you've got the starchiness of the banana as well. Yeah.
Yep, you're peeling it. It's not quite ripe, and you're forcing that peel down. And it's too thick, and you've opened it too soon, and there's that smell. That's it. Wow.
Yeah.
Put this back in the bottle for the longest. Is what
It needs more time in the peel.
It needs to brown.
That's right. That's right.
That's brown enough.
That's nuts. But it's not nuts, it's banana.
It's got some root vegetable notes to it as well, starchiness wise.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a cheap store, like knockoff brand Play-Doh as well. Like got that starchiness.
Not the brand name, but the cheap.
No, it's not brand name. It like it's not even colored. It's just ugly Play-Doh.
Yeah, it's slicing up a giant yam. Slicing up a giant yam to cook it as well.
Cool. Wow. There's still tons of fruit in here though. But for me, it's like a starchiness that's really dominating right now.
And the starchiness is on the palate as well.
Yeah, it's got something really interesting on the palate.
It's starchy and savory. It has a little bit of a maple syrup hit in there, but it stays dry.
But there's a little hint of sourness, and I get the sourdough reference now. I mean, there's just a little bit of sourness that not off-putting by any means, but it's just different. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's unusual.
It also has that beef bouillon note, like the OXO.
Well, and going back to the nose after I tasted it, it goes into like it's made like sourdough bread, but with raisins.
Oh, cool.
It's dusty.
Yeah.
I was just expecting a big sherry bomb, and it's not that at all because it's
very dry.
It's very dry.
I added a few drops of water to it. It does bring out a bit more pancake syrup and maple syrup on the nose. Does not come off as winey or disjointed, which I thought it would, is what would happen, but it hasn't happened yet.
Lots of spice in the finish. It just goes on and on. It's just pepper and yeah.
It's got like a dark chocolate bark with some like dry nuts in there, skins on them.
It's rooibos tea with nutmeg when you add some water on the palate.
Cool.
That's an interesting one. Mike says I was reviewing some tax documents just before the tasting began, so that might have had a heavy influence on my desire to drink. That said, this tasting is off to a great start. Good note.
I would think any tasting would be off to a good start after reviewing tax documents.
Yeah, that's right.
You could be tasting swamp water and it would be good.
just reminded me what I need to do tomorrow. So thank you very
Sorry.
much.
Yeah.
That is
Get a-
nuts.
Get a swamp water Slurpee. Is that what you need to
That's
do
right.
tomorrow, Rob?
Fortunately, I've got two tax authorities to deal with now, HMRC and CRA.
Oh boy. Well, let's go. Let's put that one down and go on to number 4, which is called Panel Piggies Paradise. This is from a first fill number 3 char barrel, 7th of March for the distillation date. 211 bottles from the Outturn, 58.2% alcohol.
Ooh, that's perfumed.
Yeah, big time. A little bit of not Grand Marnier, a little bit of triple sec or a Cointreau on the nose.
Cool.
Dry orange peels.
Yeah. I was gonna say a little bit of like dry apricots.
Mhm.
Usually I'm Armagnacs. I'm comparing Armagnacs to whiskeys, but I'm actually comparing this to an Armagnac now.
Cool.
That's cool.
Mm,
I could see that
Yeah,
for sure.
you're cool.
Yeah, definitely. I'm still getting like something cocktailish in it, like a bit of a Amaro or vermouth note to it now as well.
Mm. Lots of like again tobacco and peppers on the palate here.
Mhm.
And it's still quite like herbaceous and dry as well, but it's juicy. Like you're smacking your lips going, oh, it's juicy,
Yeah.
but it's dry.
Well, fruit wise, there's this underlying note of like it's a combination of lychee, pineapple, and mango right now for me.
Yeah, it's just that oakiness to it.
Mm-hmm.
It starts
Juicy,
with
juicy.
fruit and then it just gets zingy before the yolk and the spice and the tannin come in.
Yeah.
Chris in the chat says it reminds him of orange infused simple syrup that he made.
Nice.
Some ginger.
Yep.
Yeah, the orange, it's like an orange concentrate, like an orange oil. It's really, there's a lot of depth there with that. God, that's yummy. Juicy, 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 like almost juicy fruit gum.
The cask choice is interesting. Like I find like the char really comes in on the finish there.
Yeah.
The tobacco note.
Yeah. I kind of would like to see the same spirit in like a refill cask or ex-bourbon cask, just to see what happens. Something with where the char isn't becoming as prominent. A little bit of eucalyptus on the nose now.
Thank you. My brain kept saying chamomile. I'm like, that's not it. You've just used that word too many times lately. But
Yeah, that's
eucalyptus, definitely. Yeah, it's in there.
It sticks around with a few drops of water as well, that eucalyptus note.
Yeah, I just put some in before you said that, and yeah, it just reminded me of this sleepy time tea that I used to take.
Yeah, I can see that.
Water, the nose becomes quite more cask-led.
Yeah.
Which is really surprising because it's already like decently high at 58.2, right?
Yeah. This is like you barrel aged triple sec with a little bit of chartreuse to make a cocktail and a touch of vermouth.
Oh, interesting. Barrel aged cocktail then.
Yeah.
And at 58 too, not hot and aggressive like the first two were.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at all.
It's really nice.
4 for
That
4.
is some. I really like that one. That's some big barrel influence though.
Yeah,
it is.
Yep. Ooh.
Okay, on to number 5. Number 5 is called Truly a flavor bomb. Potential, well, it says first appearance from this distillery for SMWS Canada. A reminder that Father's Day is coming up. Started its life in a charred new oak barrel. Final cask was a first fill ex Applejack barrel. Very interesting.
What is that?
24th of April, 181 bottles from the Outturn, 58.9% alcohol. And so I don't know that I've ever had actual Applejack. Has anybody had it?
Isn't that a cereal?
Well, I've had that for sure. Not barrel aged Applejacks though.
I've never had that. Either one.
I found that my job as a father becomes a big portion of it becomes chief garbage disposal unit, because I just eat whatever cereals my kids want and then do not eat just to get rid of them.
You're a food disposal. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going out to Vancouver for the July tastings, and I was emailing with Daryl from Legacy Liquor Store today about this particular one and laughing about Applejack, and I'd mentioned that I didn't know what it was, so I had to email HQ and ask them what the hell is an ex-Applejack barrel, and they replied saying it's an aged apple brandy produced in the state of blank, which we'll divulge later if you don't know. Anyway, okay. Daryl said, "Oh, well, make sure you taste Applejack when you come here." So I'm guessing Legacy Liquor Store sells Applejack.
Wow.
Can't wait.
That's a super interesting dram. So palate wise, there is a bit of an apple note and maybe goes into a little bit of a Calvados, but it also has just a touch of creme de menthe to it on the finish for me.
Cool.
Creme de menthe. God, Evan, you are showing your age. My parents drank creme de menthe.
I know. I only know about it from my bartending days. It's one of those, I got a bottle to figure out what it was, and then it never got drank because I found out what it was.
Evan, this is your expertise, but I find this bordering on bourbon. There's just such a sweetness and cask influence on it.
Yeah, there's some big furniture polish notes to it on there. Tobacco as well.
Yeah.
It is extremely intense and almost too much for me.
It is very much like nosing, opening up a bourbon barrel and just sticking your nose into.
Not quite in my wheelhouse.
It's like dried, juicy cherry note to it, and kind of blackberry notes. And also like this thick vanilla that sticks around for me.
Yeah, that's a good call.
But yeah, there's a tobacco, like you've just opened up your humidor, like kind of got a whiff and taste of those cigars. Oh, I love the nose.
Chris says this would make a delicious old fashioned. I totally would. I still can't get over that peppermint note on it. Is just all over the place on the palate for me. It's like you're chewing mint leaves.
Yeah.
Really?
I feel like this only needs a garnish, like pouring it on ice with a leaf of basil or something would be enough. Sprig of rosemary.
Yeah,
it's a cocktail all on its own.
Yeah,
it is, Rob. There's so much happening.
Yeah.
Have you guys added water to it?
I did just put a little bit in. I haven't had it yet.
Yeah, I think it almost needs a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah. Just in the interest of science.
Of course.
Research
and development.
The woods and the walking through a rick house just comes out even more on the nose with water. That boozy woody note is just heady, it's just in the air in the rick house right now.
Too much water, I think, takes it too far. I mean,
You're
that's
fired.
that's science.
Yeah.
I mean, you
It's
just never
delicate
know.
balance. Yeah.
It
Barely
is.
put any in. Oh my
No,
God.
you didn't.
Yeah.
But,
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting.
Man, that's a crazy one. That's knowing what it is. I did not expect it to go in this direction. Very, very cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on to number 6. Number 6 is called Supping Sherry from Polished Wooden Cups. This is an SMWS Canada exclusive to celebrate Canada Day 2024, and this is the second Canada Day exclusive that you guys have gotten, right?
Yep.
The Bears are back.
The Bears are back. We thought we would actually be a little more proactive about Canada Day this year. Last year we put it in the July outturn after Canada Day. Because it's just the way the cookie crumbled. So this year it's nice and early in June. So if you've got a Canada Day backyard barbecue planned or a party in the park or whatever, here's your dram for July 1st.
Nice.
Nice and
Look
early.
at that color on that too, eh?
I know, right? Beautiful.
So are there, I haven't read the notes, and I don't know my music incredibly well when it comes to the hip. Is this another hip reference?
Nope, there's actually, we didn't tweak this tasting note, as a matter of fact. Yeah, that was probably an oversight on our part. There's no specific Canada reference in the tasting note.
So that you didn't perform hip replacement surgery on it then this time?
No, we didn't. I mean, last year's was a reference to a band that we thought, okay, well, come on, let's make a reference to a Canadian band rather than, you know, a generic like UK band no one's ever heard of.
Oh man.
Man, there's this is a really cool nose. It's reminds me of carrot ginger puree. Like if you're making you're pureeing carrots and ginger and maybe a bit of parsnips together to make a carrot ginger soup.
So if anybody happens to have last year's Canada Day bottling, I mean, I'm gonna tip our hand here on this blind tasting, but this would be a fun compare and contrast. I think you guys are sold out of it. There are 3 left in Edmonton, but
this might be a leading suggestion, but the first note I got on the nose was just thinking of a campfire. I mean, it's not that there's smoke on it, but just, I mean, it's sort of place to drink it, enjoy it, you know, around a campfire kind of thing.
well, it's a big, rich, robust whiskey.
Yeah.
It's not a 30-degree day sitting on the back deck kind of whiskey.
It's
It's
just a real
campfire. Yeah.
you know, warming, you know, fireside dram.
There's a little bit of Play-Doh coming through right now too on the nose on it. Or if you want to stick to some outdoor references for Canada Day, maybe some citronella wax.
Mosquito spray.
That's right.
Burned hamburgers on the barbecue.
Exactly.
There is just a slight smokiness on the palate. Like I can't tell if it's peat or not. I don't think it is. It's probably the 2 different casks, but some spiciness to go along with everything in there as well. A little bit savory. Again, goes on the dry side, and we've had quite a few drier drams on this one too, which has been really neat to see.
Very much getting the chocolate on the palate.
Yeah, a little bit of
Yeah, it's so
like medium roast espresso beans there too.
Yeah. There's a nice saltiness in the finish as well. Yeah.
Good
that would
call.
pair with a steak. You know.
It would. I was thinking that when you get whiskeys that are a little bit drier, I feel like they seem easier to pair with food for me. Because when it's a big and rich and powerful whiskey, that's the focus, that's the meal. And it's big enough. There is a lot going on, but there's that dryness where you're like, oh yeah, I could eat with this. I could pair this with that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's very umami and savory and
Salt wise, I'm gonna say it's not white salt. It's like a combination of seasoning and celery salt. palate wise.
Celery salt. The bartender side coming out again.
Yeah. It's kind of got like a grilled meat with like mushrooms and those like spice rubs on it for me.
Oh yeah,
And everything's just starting to heat up.
mushrooms is a good call too.
Mm-hmm.
Back to bell peppers too. I'm gonna say red bell peppers this time.
Red.
Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm
The
getting hungry.
sherry cask,
Steak and sauteed mushrooms and
Mhm.
little balsamic drizzle on there.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure, the balsamic.
Yeah.
yeah. I might need to sacrifice just like a half ounce or something just to put in on the rub to marinate the steak there.
Oh, that'd be good.
Mhm. Okay, last but not least, let's go to Sound of Singing Sands. Or Sound of Singing Sand, pardon me. Started his life in an ex-bourbon hogshead. Final cast was a second fill PX hogshead. 17th of October, 287 bottles in the Outturn, 58.8% alcohol. Nothing over 68% alcohol this time, from what I recall.
Yeah, no. It's summer. You got to dial it down a bit.
That's right. Oh, that nose is just gorgeous.
I'm surprised they didn't call it Sound of Singing Bacon.
No
Mhm.
kidding.
Sound of
Yeah.
sizzling bacon.
Yeah.
Well, that's what bacon is doing when it's sizzling. It's singing.
It's singing.
Mm. Yeah, it's like
Does
salty bacon
you-
fat.
Yeah, it does evoke like Sandy Beach and Sandy Beach where there's sand on everything as well. Like it's got that sandy saltiness to it.
Sand
Little
is
bit of
in
ozone.
on everything.
Yeah. Some
But
crustaceans
but
in
it's
there,
not.
maybe?
Yeah, it's not all peat all the time. It's
No.
not one dimensional.
Shellfish and seafood for sure.
Yeah, it's like licking an oyster shell with a little bit of sand on it. And you still get some citrus though. You get that lime squeeze or
Yep.
lemon squeeze.
Yeah, this is I'm excited to do this one tomorrow for the live outturns because I think this is going to be pegged as a specific distillery that it is not. But
I think you're
see.
right.
Yeah.
Salty. Ooh.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. And
Yeah.
and no grittiness from the sand at all.
It's not crunchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, your teeth are safe.
Still dry though. Like it's another dry dram. Like dry, chalky, minerality to it.
Yeah.
Tons of salt. Some more of those citrus notes.
It's dry with like a hint of bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
then there's a
it's-
sweetness around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, I'm not a big fan of just huge peat. This has got so much more going on.
Yeah.
It's
eating raw
I had this on our
oysters.
table at your festival, your Isla Festival last
Yep.
week. And I put out tasting notes on the table, the abridged version of what's in the booklet. And it mentioned the green lentil curry. And a fellow who was in front of the table was like, I'm trying that one because, curry, but like he just couldn't get over the tasting note and the references to curry. He's like, I'm all over that. And it mentions tuna dip and he was all in it for the food.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Herby chicken and green lentil curry. And you're like, well, okay.
Yeah, it's like I'm on a diet. I'm just having 2 courses of the singing and Sound of Singing Sand. Sorry. I'm just yeah.
Did you guys add water to yours?
Not yet. Should we? You?
I guess we could.
Doesn't hurt, at least on the nose. The nose actually gets a little bit of
Crackers again, like
crackers,
That's great.
Fentimans ginger ale that's been dumped over a fire as well. So like you had to douse the fire out with something, and that was what was available.
Fentimans, not Schweppes or Canada Dry or
Yeah,
Fentimans.
specific. This is actual bona fide ginger ale. not the garbage that
And
we
you're
make in Canada
wasting
here.
it on a fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. It's the aromas of ginger just pop out of the glass with some water.
Good with water. Yeah.
Yeah. Palate works. I think that I prefer the palate without it. It does lose a bit of that dryness. But still works. Going into Sprite territory right now, and just a touch of ginger ale on the palate as well.
I don't know. I mean, I think I might like it more with water. I mean, the palate, the smoke on the palate becomes a little more ashy,
Just
a little more campfire.
kind of smooths off some of those rough edges of the
Yeah.
smoke. It's really lovely with water.
Yeah.
So with water, you really do get the finish of a put out fire in
Yeah.
ginger ale.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's consistent with its
I
follow
think
through.
what it loses on the palate with the water that I miss is the chalkiness. The chalkiness gets replaced by juiciness for me.
Sure. Yeah, I get that.
Both are good, but I do like that chalkiness that the non-water version had. I do prefer the nose quite a bit with water. Man, that might be the driest Outturn that I can recall. The like just about to a glass here. Those were some drams on the drier side, which was really, really neat. It's not something that I necessarily pick up on unless I'm hit over the head with it. So it was neat to go from dram to dram and really see that.
We like to call this dry June.
Dry June.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That is great. Man, you should sell the SMWS on that. That would be a good name for
this is our version of dry June.
That's right. Okay, well let's go back to the beginning, and we'll slowly peel away the mystery here. How is reds, greens, and blues, or reds, greens, and yellows, pardon me, holding up?
Oh, nose is
So
gorgeous.
floral now.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. It's like
Oh.
candy, dessert, carnival.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So comforting.
There's we were in just before Invermere and coming out of the Kootenay Pass to go into Invermere after Banff National Park and Kootenay National Park, going into BC there, and we stopped at a candy shop, and they had, I don't know if you guys know Gold Rush gum, where it's like little yellow nuggets of gum that are really chewable.
Oh, yes,
they come
yes,
in
yes,
like
yes,
a
I
little
remember those.
burlap bag. So my kids had to get it, partially because we set a price limit on the candy shop. Otherwise, we're buying the whole thing. But the nose reminds me of that gum so much right now. It's crazy.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's.
Kevin says I get soapy candy. Yeah,
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
It's becoming more soapy, more floral.
Yeah, not quite Thrills gum territory, but
no, thank goodness.
Yeah.
So candied. Wow. The nose is just stunning though.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow.
Well, that palate's good too.
Mm-hmm.
Almost into full on apple juice right now for me, with spice at the finish. Okay, reds, greens, and yellows, pardon me. I don't know why I want to say blue on that. So this is cask number 39.272. That makes it a Speyside distillery. It is 11 years old, from the 5th of December 2011. And this distillery is Linkwood Distillery.
Cool.
And this is a sister cask, I believe you told me, Kelly. Yes, this is a sister cask to 39.284, which was Push Pineapple Shake a Bee from April.
Really? I mean, I see it now, but I would have not guessed it.
This is really evocative of Linkwood for me, where Linkwood always has this like just a bit of citric, but fruity and floral note on the nose, especially in ex-bourbon.
Cool.
Goes a little bit different sometimes in sherry, but I like how hyper fresh this one is.
Oh, is it ever? Beautiful.
Yeah.
There's almost, even though it's ex-bourbon barrel, there's almost like a white wine note in there right now, like going into Vino Verde stylistically. Tasty, tasty stuff.
Yeah, very.
Yeah. A lovely sweet cast note on the palate now.
Mm-hmm.
Yummy.
Yeah, very, very cool floral notes on that one with the fruit. Okay, on to lime and thyme. This is a distillery for me that I've just never been gung-ho about the official bottlings, and for a while I wasn't a huge fan of the SMWS bottlings as well, but there's either they've clicked with me over the last couple of years, or the style has changed over the last probably that they've just clicked with me. But this is a really, really cool dram, and that the herbaceous note that comes with the sort of fluffy candied note is really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Still so much cotton candy on the nose for me right now.
Mm-hmm.
And their
Still getting those
herbaceousness.
banana notes, Harmony? The banana
Yeah.
bread, you still getting that?
It's there. It's not as much. I'm getting more like artificial strawberry, like sweet red candy notes. It's still very fluffy and soft. There's also something else that was sticking out in here.
Strawberries and basil right now on the nose for me, and a touch of parsley.
No time still, hey?
Yeah.
I don't think lime and basil as a bottle name would have had the same cachet as lime and thyme.
That's right. Yeah, I do like the name.
The taste is interesting. The tasting note references wheat beer.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that. It's kind of got a bit of a beer kind of eau de vie notes.
Eau de vie is a good call. It's funny, last night we were doing a Cooper's Choice tasting, and there's one on the nose that just full on reminded me of Hoegaarden, like from the tap essentially, where they lemon rimmed it to start with, just to give you a little bit of citrus there. I can see the wheat beer note. It's almost, this isn't like a full on Hoegaarden though. This is a Berliner Weiss, where you get the wheat beer, but it's a little bit salty and sour at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But with the banana notes, are we getting into Hefeweizen territory?
Good.
Hefeweizen is close to Berliner Weissen style, so
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is Lime and Thyme is a special bottling that was done for Lowland Spirit. Is that 2022?
Yeah.
And so this is a Lowland distillery. This is Auchentoshan. So this is, what is it? Rare Release 5, or that they would call it?
5, yeah.
So yeah, Auchentoshan is the 5th distillery that was ever bottled by the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. We have had some really good 5s, and the best 5s from the society always are in this 18-year-old range for me, from ex-bourbon. This is a nice one. And the lushness that you get off a lot of ex-bourbon, where it goes into full-on Twizzler territory, for me is tempered by that herbaceousness in a really cool manner.
And 18 years old.
18 years old. Does it have a distillation date?
Yeah, it does,
2020
yeah.
for the vintage. Yeah. Love that nose.
Yeah.
$244.99 is the total price wise there. I'll share the link here for you guys.
That's a really good price for an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And this didn't have a specific sister cask or sister casks that were mentioned, eh?
Yeah, it has the same, I mean, it's a small batch, right? It's an ultra small batch,
Yeah.
but the distillation date that they mention is the same as 5.91, 5.96, and 5.97.
Nice.
Which of course I don't have the names right in front of me, but that'll be like effervescent sparkle.
Yep.
That's great.
What were the other two? I know effervescent sparkle was great, but yeah, so it is from that same run.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, that herbaceousness is just, I can't remember another SMWS Aucantosh that had it to that degree. That's very neat stuff.
Thanks, Mike. Embrace balmy summer. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right on.
Another sister cask. Ish.
That one was good. That one leaned much more into the Twizzlers notes, from what I recall. Okay, next up is number 3. Back to Rich's Cake, a little sourdough. How's it holding up in the glass?
Kind of got like a wine note.
Yeah.
To it.
It's
wine gums.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, wine gums, even into a little bit of scallions or onions in there for me right now.
God, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like you're cooking them down right now. The scallions with a bit of butter.
Still that starchiness though.
Yeah, big time starchiness.
Especially on the palate.
Yeah, it's gone from green banana into plantains for me.
Oh. Oh my God, that's unusual. I'm not even sure I need to think about that for a minute.
I don't know
Sourdough,
that
like a rye sourdough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you pick up PX cask on this? Like if someone put a gun to your head? I don't think so.
I do get the chocolate. It's kind of like if you made brownie with prunes, but you baked it in the same oven as that rye sourdough. It's like all baking at the same time.
It's you're cutting up yams at the same time. Like it's got a little bit of sweet potato and yam in there too, with that starchiness. And a touch of cayenne pepper right now.
Is this the one where you mentioned oregano oil? Because that's still very.
I think so. Yeah.
I feel like that's a really potent, pungent aroma, oregano oil.
Yeah.
That is just the craziest dram.
It is wild.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's a lot.
It's such a disconnect from what I was expecting based on the cask type to what's in the glass, which is really fun. I love when there's that disconnect. But I don't know, because you go in expecting one thing and then you get something entirely different. In this case,
but
I
think that's part of the fun and joy of these tastings and single casks in particular, because a lot of the time I think we read a label and a maturation type and we get our 10 words queued up in our head. Oloroso is ...
Yeah, PX is,
PX is ... And then if you did that with something like this, people might like look at you a little sideways and go, yeah, no. I mean, maybe if I think about it, but this is really different. It's really unusual. And I think that's what we all enjoy from time to time, is kind of finding those oddballs, those odd ones out that make you question everything you think you know about maturation.
Yeah, totally agree with you guys. And And to tag on to what both of you guys said, like we've all had a sherry cask where the term overcooked comes into play, where the sherry just completely takes over and it's not even whiskey anymore, in a lot of cases. And this is almost the exact opposite of that, where I would love to see this PX sherry cask after the whiskey was dumped, because I don't think it's a sherry cask anymore. It's been so affected by the whiskey at this point that it's just an ex-whiskey cask at this point.
Right. I would love to know how many releases have come out of that PX cask, how many years it's been in use.
Well, this does say first fill.
Well, it's first fill. That's hard to believe, actually.
It is very. I wonder if it was.
I want to try the sherry that was in here.
Yeah, and I mean that's whether or not this factors into it. But we've talked about this in the tastings before about, we've specifically mentioned that this is an ex-bodega barrique. So first of all, it's not a butt; it's a barrique, so smaller. Secondly, it's a proper, actually used by a bodega to mature sherry barrel, as opposed to most sherry casks in the whiskey industry nowadays, which are only seasoned with sherry from like 6 to 12 months just for that sherry effect, because nobody drinks sherry anymore and the laws around sherry have changed, and so sherry has to be matured in Spain, whereas it used to be transported to Scotland. Anyway, all of these things have changed, so now most sherry cask whiskeys are from a cask that has been only seasoned briefly with sherry, whereas when we get an actual ex-bodega cask like this one, it has matured sherry properly for, what does it say here, 10 years. Oh, that was the bourbon barrel. 10 years of bourbon. This was transferred to a first fill PX barrique from the Jimenez Spinola bodega. So this is a legitimate sherry cask.
It literally could be holding sherry for decades, over and over and over, which is really unique. And sorry, before you say that, Evan, because I'm just going to ask, because I'm just not as familiar with sherry casks, but when it says barrique, is that a clue to the style of wood?
So that's exactly where I was going.
Okay.
I was thinking the same thing. Is barrique referring to the size, which I'm guessing would be 225.
That's my understanding of it. I mean, barrique is basically the French word for barrel. So
but is it also meaning that it's potentially using French oak versus Spanish oak? Which
I would think so. In a proper bodega, it would be Spanish oak. Yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's wild stuff. It's really, really neat. Right now on the nose, this is a weird note, but dried goji berries for me right now, and on the palate.
It's like a hint of peanut butter.
I don't think I know what goji berries smell like, but peanut butter, that's fun.
Yeah.
Peanut
butter and just a touch of cinnamon in there too.
Yeah.
Very, very neat stuff. So this guy is 14 years old. This is Scotch Malt Whiskey Society 94.41, distilled on the 9th of January 2009, and it is a Highland distillery, and that distillery is Kelly, because I can't remember off the top of my head.
Fettercairn.
Get out.
Yeah.
That's thanks for coming back. No, that's awesome. Because this is, I'm not at all familiar with the DNA of Fettercairn, but I'm seeing more and more of it. And I was just thinking to myself, what distillery has acquired such an awesome cask? I never would have thought Fettercairn.
So I'm assuming that the SMWS acquired this cask from brokers or from Fettercairn and then transferred it, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So Fettercairn in their history has done some weird stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
Fettercairn is a really interesting distillery. It is, and Kelly and I have been there before it was ever open to tours, and the distillery manager took us through some really, I mean, it was unknown. It wasn't released as a single malt at the time. This is back in mid 2000s. And it's a really, really interesting distillery because the spirit still has cascading water down the sides of it, which is used to increase reflux, to cool, the alcohol vapor as it's rising and force it back in to be redistilled. No other distillery in Scotland has that kind of technique. Others have purifiers and other things, but no one else has this
cooling ring.
It's just weird to look at because it's so unusual. And the distillery manager at the time, I've forgotten his name. Doig was his last name, because I remember that because Doig, designed all the pagoda roofs on the maltings that you see in Scotland. But he was just raving about the distillery because he says, we have so many tunes we can play here. We can do so many different things with our distillery setup. So maybe that's what we're seeing here. Is they've played around a bit and they're doing some unique things, and it's a really interesting distillery.
That's really cool because Fettercairn for me has been one of those distilleries for quite a while now where I haven't had enough of it to really dial in, this is their style to a degree, and partially because there hasn't been official ballings for a long time, although there are now. And also the independent ballings we've seen of it for a long time are few and far between. It seemed like we got some signatories that were 88s and 94s and stuff like that for a while, but beyond that, we didn't see a ton of Fettercairn out there. There are official ballings now, and I'm just going to share this just because this is to coincide with what I'm talking about here. We are actually doing a Fettercairn virtual tasting coming up. I think this was mostly Andrew's idea with a little bit of harmony in there. It's called a Fawning Over Fettercairn and Unicorns. There is an SMWS bottling in there. I might have to talk to Andrew because I kind of want to push for this bottling to go in there as well. I think it's just so unique that it would fit in a cool manner. There is an official Fettercairn 12, 16, and 18 now. It's owned by this White Mackay, which also owns Delmore and Jura. And it's kind of gotten short shrift for official ballings over the last decade plus. I think the last official bottling we saw before this was a Fettercairn Fiora, which was just an abomination from what I recall. It was a Fettercairn that was finished in casks of rosé wine, if I remember correctly. Which doesn't seem to be a match made in heaven, but there's a whiskey sponge bottling in there, a Carnmore bottling, and an old malt cask bottling, and at least one SMWS bottling, unless I can convince Andrew there should be two. So watch out for that one. I think it could be a lot of fun if you're looking to delve more into Fettercairn. But yeah, super interesting bottle, this one.
And this is a sister cask to 9434 from October, that Healin' Feelin'.
Cool.
And again, I don't think it gets me any closer to figuring out Fettercairn, but it was a fun whiskey.
Yeah. Very cool.
Did I share I don't think I shared the link on that one. So it's 9441. Link is right here for you.
That peanut butter is toning down into a nice nougat note.
Nice.
I love it.
Oh, and Chris has told me the SMWS bottling and the Fettercairn tasting is this one. Well, good on Andrew for figuring that out.
You may have had some insider help.
That's right. That's right. Next up is Panel Piggies Paradise, number 4.
Wee. Oh, God. Still so perfumed. Holy cow.
Yeah, big time. Still get a little bit. I talked about a lychee, pineapple, and mango. Still get those fruit notes underneath there.
Kind of get a wet cedar, like a sauna. Just little wisps of that.
Yep.
There's just a touch of almost going into rum territory, you're nosing a Mai Tai, where it's got all the juices together and the rum, and then they floated 151 on top.
Oh, there's like a, what is that?
So for me, the clash between the whiskey and the barrel has sort of subsided a little bit. It's the charred oak isn't like as immediate coming in on the finish now.
Agreed.
No.
It's all married a little bit and calmed down.
Yeah,
But
it's
still
almost
super
going
juicy.
into, yeah, and going into lush territory where like it's
Mhm.
just rich whiskey. That's a nice dram.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the second SMWS bottling that we've seen from this distillery, if I remember correctly. The first one was peated, if I recall. This is Scotch Malt Whisky Society 138.23, the 23rd cask from distillery number 138, which is a Taiwanese distillery called Nantu, or Nantu, I think. First one was peated and quite savory from what I recall.
Is it like
This guy
fancy
is
meeting you here? Was that it?
what's that?
Was it fancy meeting you here? Was that the name
Yeah.
too?
Yeah, good call.
MEAT.
So Nantu is the other distillery in Taiwan. Everybody knows Kavalan. Nantu is actually government owned and operated from what I recall, but it's been making some really good whiskey in their own right. This guy is 5 years old from the 7th of March 2017. And yeah, I think this one has gotten better over time in the glass for sure. Liked it at the start, but I like how it's not like this like almost like you're crossing the border from fruit into barrel now.
Yeah.
Rich, rich and lush.
Yeah, rich is a
Really,
good call.
really, really rich nose.
So there's a link for the 138.23. Now back to number 5, truly a flavor bomb. Lots of bourbon-esque notes to start with on that one. Has it changed in the glass?
It kind of smells like a brandy.
Yeah, lots of barrel char coming through right now
Yeah.
for me right, as well. Almost like you're driving in Kentucky past a bunch of tobacco sheds as well.
Is this the one you compared to an Armagnac?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I stand by that.
It's still
Yeah.
so spicy.
Very Armagnac adjacent.
Armagnac adjacent.
And that just
That'd be
may
a good
be the
SMWS name.
apple fruit influence on it.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Does still have a little bit of that triple sec note, but it's blown off a bit.
kind of like a rum in a way as well. It's like rum Armagnac. And just the spices are just turned right up.
Armagnac?
Armagnac? Yeah. And I'm
Little
still
mashup.
getting a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
right.
vanilla.
Are you listening, Compass Box?
Urban.
They have to throw some Kalila and Kleinleash in it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think that's in their charter. It stipulates that.
I think.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, Glazer's not there anymore, so who knows what they're doing now.
Well, they've moved on to Belmanic in a big way, and a few others.
Okay.
So yeah. So this is RW 3.6 rye whiskey 3.6. And Applejack was talked about and hinted at that it comes from a specific state. I believe someone actually said which state it comes from, which is New York. Distillery is New York Distillery, isn't it?
Yeah.
In Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It's not
Hey.
It's not
Because
New
if you're
York
gonna-
in
if
New
you're
York
gonna-
in New York.
Yeah. If you're gonna build like a super inexpensive distillery, you're gonna build it right in Brooklyn. I'm sure that the rent there is just super cheap.
I'm sure.
So from New York Distilling Company, 5 years old, from the 24th of April, 2016. I kind of want to try Applejack, but I also don't want to be super disappointed with something that's like super cheap and aggressive.
I think it's really well named, truly a flavor bomb, no question about it. But it is,
big time.
as I said earlier, because I knew what this was going in. I'm not a fan of rye. I do not like rye. It's not in my wheelhouse. That's just a real struggle for me, that one. But it's really well named because there's a lot going on.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's a big.
That sounds like a challenge, Kelly.
Big.
I know, right?
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. I know, like someone help her.
Yeah, that's
help
right.
her find a rye.
Yeah, send your rye to Kelly at
No, this is.
I love. Was it this one, Harmony, where you said just over an ice cube with a basil leaf? Like, I'm up for that. Was that this one?
Yeah.
I think it was a flavor bomb. Is that where we are?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what this one. Yeah.
Yes, totally.
Because that's right. I mean, this does taste like very much like a cocktail in a glass. Like, it feels like there's more than one ingredient going on here. But just straight up rye. I mean, it's funny because I went with Andrew years ago to his Kentucky Bourbon Trail trip, and I'm not really a bourbon person either, but carried on and tried it all, and I've discovered I like wheated bourbons as opposed to rye high bourbons, et cetera, et cetera. But rye, to make that full step to rye is I'm just not there. I have the mash bill for this. I think I sent it to you, Evan, in case anybody's curious.
I am.
Yeah, let's see if I can pull it up here.
Absolutely.
Speaking of wheaters, remind me tomorrow because we have a wheater that you might like.
Okay.
Just got it in. Okay, mash bill. Let's see. 72% rye, 16% corn, and 12% malted barley. I don't know if the SMWS would know this. I'm kind of curious. I'll have to look at New York Distilling as to whether this was malted or unmalted rye.
I think it's malted.
Yeah. Based on style or based on knowing something about the distillery?
Well, a little bit of both. But yeah, I just think it's malted. It doesn't feel as green as some of the unmalted ryes do for me. And it's kind of heavy on those kind of earth notes, just like heavy concentrate that comes through with the roasted or a malted rye, pardon me. But
I kind of wonder if it's a combination because there's something in there that is reminding me a little bit of Woody Creek, which I just had. With it, where they're 100% unmalted rye, but it's a super interesting dram.
Yeah, we should try it next to the Still Austin too, because that's unmalted.
Yeah, very cool stuff. Is going into like a minty note with a little bit of lime jujubes now on the finish.
Cool.
Or a grape.
See, I would eat lime jujubes all day long, but I'm not really interested in drinking rye.
Trade. I'll give you my lime jujubes. You give
so Kelly is now looking for a rye whiskey bottle that's filled with lime jujubes. Send that bottle.
Just
to Kelly
send me the jujubes.
That's
Don't worry about cramming them in the bottle, right?
That's right.
It's
let's go on to
Corona. You just shove the jujube in the bottle rather than the lime in the Corona.
And that might actually make it less skunky. So that's a good thing.
If you ever do that, I want a video. And this cocktail's for me.
Yeah, that's right. It turns out to be the same whatchamacallit, the same reaction that Diet Coke and Mentos gets.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the good news is you don't have to drink the Corona after that, so everybody's still okay. Let's go back.
So if you've got a dad who likes rye, then this is the dram for dad for Father's Day.
If you have a dad that smokes cigars or likes to barbecue, it'll go with all of these things.
No kidding.
I mean, it's probably a very expensive marinade, but yeah, I would marinate food with it.
Or if you have a dad that likes old fashions but doesn't like to bartend.
Right. Yeah. What's the link on this, Evan? And the price?
Oh, did I pass that on?
Talked about price.
So price is $170.99 for this. There is the link. Sorry, I forgot that. Let's go on to number 6, which is sipping sherry from polished wooden cups.
Not to be pedantic, but let's be honest, I am pedantic. It's for some reason it's actually supping sherry.
Yeah.
Supping, thank you.
What is supping?
Sipping.
It's a fancy form of sipping.
It's
That's
right. It's what
right.
the aristocrats do. They sup, they don't sip. Supping
Oh.
sherry from
Nice.
polished wooden cups.
Yeah.
I'll go
Yeah.
put my bloomers
Using an I
on.
is so
Of
pedestrian.
course it. Oh, God.
Yeah, this has gotten a little bit more yeasty style, wise, like apple blossoms for me.
Cool. Yeah, it's very floral. Even on the palate, it's floral, like more so, like you're eating flowers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good call. It's someone poured some Gewürztraminer in with some whiskey.
Mm.
Still a touch of smokiness on the nose there.
Yeah, but then there's still that savoriness.
Totally. Yeah.
So
I
this
still
was
say this would go great with a steak.
Would go
Yep.
great with a steak.
I still think you need to use you need to sacrifice a little bit to marinate it too. I think it would do well.
That's just even better. That has benefited from the little bit of water that we put in 20 minutes ago and just thyme. That's really, really nice. So for anybody that has last year's hanky panky in the den, do a compare and contrast, because my preference is this one. I mean, they're the same age, sister casks, same distillery, but this one pips the post for me.
Agreed. I would like to side by side them, but I think this one is better than hanky panky.
Not much left.
Might actually be better than our own Inchgour single cask as well from Berry Brothers. This is Scotch Malt Whiskey Society.
You can't see better. These are different.
This is different. You need to buy both, is what Harmony's saying, and I agree.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Well, our Inchgour is more ashy and peaty.
Yeah, it definitely leans into the smoke notes.
Yeah.
This guy is 18.60. Distillery number 18 is Inchgour Distillery. What Kelly was talking about is that the last year's Canada Day bottling was also an Inchgour. Was it a sister cask even?
Yes.
Cool.
This is 1 year older, presumably.
So this is distilled like the last one on the 19th of February 2008. $235.99 for the price on this one. So did you guys get this offered to you, or was this specifically chosen from a selection for the Canada Day bottlings?
So when we approached HQ with the idea a couple of years ago for last year, I think, oh God, if memory serves, I think they sent us a little spreadsheet with maybe 3 things to choose from, because the big factor is how much liquid is in the cask, because we can only absorb so much liquid into the Canadian membership database, right? We don't want 100 cases of something. So it had to do with how much liquid there was in the cask. So I think we took that little spreadsheet of 3 offerings, sent it to Andrew, said, what do you think? And we decided on the Inchgour for last year and got most of the cask. I think a couple of cases were held back in the UK for the members' rooms. And then we said we wanted to repeat again this year. And I think they just offered us up this one. And we thought, well, that kind of makes sense. Same distillery, sister cask, a year on, let's just go for it. So we didn't try it beforehand. We didn't pick it from a list. It was just offered to us. I think the quantity was about right. That said, we got the whole cask. So it's not anywhere else in the world. HQ in the UK didn't keep any. So we have a fair bit of it if anybody would like more than 1 bottle. But yeah, it was just offered to us.
And part of doing these Canada Day ones is to, allow people, if they're interested, to create a bit of a little collection, in terms of, we're trying to keep the artwork sort of, similar across the bottlings. It's just Canadian bears enjoying, a good time in the summer.
Party in the den.
On Canada Day. So
That's
yeah,
right.
hopefully these are really sophisticated drams in my view. I mean, there's a lot going on. So lovely.
Yeah, I totally agree. I like the fact that they're both from the same distillery. I do want to say though that in my opinion, the most Canadian of Scottish whiskies is Tobermory. Just as a hint for the next one.
All right, we'll keep that in mind.
Right on. So last but not least, on to the sound of singing sand. Oh, and Chris is contrarian. He's saying he prefers hanky panky.
Hey,
Cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Chris, you better buy a bottle of this one just to make sure on that.
I saw that eye roll.
Yeah.
You don't know what this bottle's going to taste like when it's half empty.
That's right.
Half
That's
full.
right. Okay, so
Nice.
I would not be surprised if we get a lot of people thinking this is Kalila tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that.
And I think I would almost blind this as Kalila myself. It is a little bit more barley forward than a lot of Kalila is, which kind of goes more into this distillery's territory. But man, this is a gorgeous whiskey. So this is Scotch Malt Whiskey Society 10.241.
Springbank. Oh, if only.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, the price is going to look
from the
really
these
good
days,
to you now.
From anyone.
Yeah.
I appreciate the laughing face in response to
Yeah.
Springbank query.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is an Isla Dram. This is 10.241.
Springbank
Distillery number
moved
10. Yeah. Distillery number 10 is Bunnahabhain. This is a 9-year-old peated Bunnahabhain from the 17th of October 2013. And this age of peated Bunnahabhain or vintage of peated Bunnahabhain would be called Stoisha or Stisha. I'm not sure of the exact pronunciation of it, but
Neither are they.
yeah, neither are they.
Let's call Mike Brisebois.
Yeah. It's I think that's close to the spelling, maybe not exactly right.
I think so.
Yeah. But I love, I've always loved peated Bunnahabhain when we can get it, but this is my favorite era of peated Bunnahabhain right now. I like the young, aggressive, salty style that it has. And I love the underlying shellfish and fruit notes that it gets. It's just great stuff.
What I find interesting is that it had 4 years in a sherry cask, and yet I think you'd be hard pressed to find that. When I look at the notes, it says a second fill, so I have to wonder if
I never would have guessed there was sherry involved in that.
No.
Yeah, the sherry's just been obliterated by the Bunnahabhain. That is a really cool dram. So this one was bottled for the Isle Whiskey Festival 2023.
Yep.
The name, I just wanted to talk about this, Sound of Singing Sand. I have a t-shirt from Bunnahabhain Distillery when I was there in 2019. And they had Fascial t-shirts left over, and they were selling them for like £5. I think Andrew got one too. And on the t-shirt it says something like "Listen to the sound of Isla," because the Isla Whiskey Festival is also there's a jazz festival component to it as well. So the Sound of Isla, of course, is kind of a double entendre without being
Yes.
where the Bunnahabhain is almost in a sound or a bay, and that's why they put it on there. And so that is the hint to this being Bunnahabhain too, is the sound of singing sand for me.
Cool.
Yeah, but great whiskey. Really, really fun lineup. I still can't get over how dry a lot of these bottlings were, which was really cool to see together.
So Caleb, oh, there you go. I was gonna say Caleb is
Yeah.
jonesing for the link.
Yeah. Yeah, he's trying to buy it before it sells out, which I don't blame him. 214 1999 for this 9-year-old Bunnahabhain. Yeah, great jam, but fun lineup as well. Really like how there was no real through note through everything except for the dryness. Like we really went through a lot of different flavors and styles there, which was really neat.
The Nantu, excuse me, the Nantu was the outlier in terms of juiciness. Like for me, there was nothing dry about the Nantu. It was just juicy
Mm-hmm.
the whole way through. But yeah, overall, you're right. It was a really dry.
Put it in the middle.
That's right. Break up the dryness.
Yeah.
That's right.
Rehydrate.
Well,
interesting lineup.
For those of you that just want to view all the bottlings at once, let me get the share for that. Give me 1 sec. So if you type SMWS June 2024 into the search bar, or just click on this link, that shows you all 7 bottles. I hope you guys enjoyed the Outturn. I really did. Harmony, hopefully you did as well. Seems like your palate and nose is getting back into gear there, so that's good.
Did a sinus rinse before we started.
Nice, good call. Good old neti pots.
Thanks for letting us know.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's right.
I really struggled yesterday. I thought I was gonna have to like give my notice or something. Like Harmony's gonna run this event. Harmony has no palate today. Awesome.
That's right. You hit it well. You hit it well.
Yeah.
Robin Kelly, welcome back to Canada. Good to have you back again. And thank you everybody else for joining us on this Outturn. It was a fun one. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Hopefully we'll see you in July on the virtual if we don't see you in store before that. And
you've got a festival coming up on June 20th, do you not? We will be there.
Yeah, single malts single malt
last
festival.
day of spring
festival.
Single malt festival. And on that note too, we do have a festival that needs a push. Unfortunately, the SMWS doesn't have a reason to do this one. But we have what we want to pull off as our first craft Canadian whiskey festival at the shop. We have a lot of distilleries lined up that are local in and around Alberta, but then also coming from as far away as Yukon and Vancouver Island, and potentially some more that are going to be interested in showing up as well. It's a good time to take a look at what's going on in Canadian whiskey, and there's a lot of craft distilleries that are just now releasing their first bottlings. So take a look at this guy if you haven't. The price is really good on it, and I think it's going to be a ton of fun. Anything you want to add to that one, Harmony?
Thank you for updating the image. I love it. I love the addition of the other agencies that we've been working with. No, I'm just looking forward to recognizing some of the spirits that we haven't had the opportunity to work with yet. It's always tough with such a Scotch focused store to expand in other areas, and where are we going to gain interest? So this is an event where we're really leaving it up to you guys, our customers, to determine what brands are going to expand and evolve on our shelves, and how and just in general how we view the Canadian market of whiskey. There's been changes happening for a really long time. Talks of changes have been happening for even longer, but now we actually have whiskey going into the bottle, and they're getting recognized. And they're getting recognized globally. And I think
Yeah.
it's time that we start also recognizing and appreciating and giving the ode to our Canadian distillers for the hard work they've put in breaking down barriers and creating their own new history in Canadian whiskey. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
So
it's definitely.
I was looking for a
Sorry, go ahead.
reason. I was looking for a reason to actually be at this festival, even though, as you say, SMWS doesn't really have a reason. I mean, Shelter Point did 3 bottlings for the society, and I think we have 1, 2, 3 down on our shelf, but there's none for sale. So I'm not sure that it justifies us being there with a table with 3 things that you can't get anywhere except on auction sites. So carry on. But I will say that earlier today, I'll dangle a little carrot, and this is just pie in the sky at the moment, but Brennan from Stillhead Distillery on Vancouver Island sent us 5 samples of some of their cool stuff recently, with the intention of us taking it over to HQ for the tasting panel. There was 2 ryes, 2 single malts, and a single malt in a Tokai wine cask.
Yeah.
So far we've just tried the 2 single malts that are from, I think, bourbon barrels. We haven't tried the other 3, but very promising. So we'll get those over to HQ, and I don't know, I mean, HQ is focused at the moment on continuing their charm offensive with new young Scotch distilleries. They're not hyper focused on international whiskeys at the moment, but of course that'll change, ebbs and flows. So we've got some really promising stuff hopefully coming out of Duncan on the island.
There's lots of,
well, I mean, there's lots, but
there's lots of great Canadian whiskeys out there. So
there are, and I mean, I'm sure you can push that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rob, I didn't mean to talk over you. I was just going to say, I'm sure you could push that Canadian focus if they're willing to focus on Taiwan and other regions. Like, there's got to be Canada. Come
That's
on.
right.
And
well, they set the precedent, right? So yeah.
Stillhead is just doing
Onward.
things. Brennan's nailing it.
Yeah, he is, and we're hoping to have Brennan's whiskey here for that. I think he's got an importer here in Alberta again, or now, which is great. And Kelly and Rob, I don't know if his rye is going to change anything for you, Kelly, but it is fantastic rye.
I haven't tried them yet, so I'm going to go in with an open mind.
Ease in with their cream liqueur.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome.
Right on. Well, thank you, everybody, again. Thank you to Rob and Kelly, and thank you, Harmony, as well. Thank you, Cam, for joining us. Always good to see you again. And we'll see you all soon. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.